The Ultimate Fighter Season 29, episode number 5, just recently wrapped up. I want to talk about the episode. I want to talk about the fight. It was actually a pretty solid episode. I enjoyed, every aspect of it. I always enjoy Tough. We did a live stream for it, and we'll be doing the live watch along. So if you haven't seen it, if you didn't know about it, now you do. We're going to be live next week for it. Make sure you guys tune into that. But let's talk about it early on. They talked about some recent events from the previous episode, and it led to an argument between Petrosky and the little savage Mitch Raposo from Massachusetts. Gotta love that little Portuguese. He's a good fighter, and he's a fun guy to watch. Him and Petrosky were kind of going a little bit back and forth, but nothing violent. But it was just about how Brian Ortega is. Mitch seems to have a really strong disdain for Ortega. I guess I do get it, right? He's kind of joked around a bit, and they were talking about how Team Volkanovski's 0-4. Granted, it wasn't Brian who said it, and obviously there is a bias that Mitch has towards his coach on Volkanovski, which I think Volkanovski's a great coach, and I'm so pumped for the Ortega fight between them two. And they kind of previewed the next episode, some pranks coming up, so that episode 6 is going to be a good one, and I can't wait to see it. From what we saw of episode 5, though, they had a little BS at the beginning, and then they moved forward, showing the training and the background stories of both Brian Battle and Kemron Lachinov. Both solid dudes, both lots of potential. Kemron is a tough SOB. We'll talk about that fight in a minute. Both have children, so there's definitely a lot on the line in this fight, and they went into it with some high momentum towards the end of the episode. Before we got into the fight, though, you did see in the house was the coach, was Brian Ortega playing a little foosball, talking about how competitive he is, and then they showed little clips of Mitch Raposo saying he's like a man-child and whatnot. But I think Ortega's a solid dude, and I think he's a good coach, and I think Mitch has a strong bias against him. I don't think his statements are all that true, but he's on the other team, and of course, he's going to have those thoughts. But as far as the actual fight, let's talk about it. Brian Battle, he fights against Kemron Lachinov. Lachinov's a tough SOB. He walks forward the first round, doesn't land any takedowns, getting pretty much picked apart from kickboxing range. Lots of movement for Brian Battle. At one point, we have the clip, and I would say we have the image. This is probably the best image from that fight. This is one of them. It's Kemron just walking straight forward, hands down, taking shots from Brian Battle. And then he ends up also getting kicked in the head, goes for the takedown. He did get Battle down at one point, but not a lot of damage from there. Brian Battle's wrestling defense was serious, physically stronger. He's the naturally bigger guy. Kemron normally fights at 170. And I think he has a future. I think the UFC signs a guy like Kemron because he's an absolute stud and a fun guy to watch. I really did enjoy his fight. Brian Battle, though, put on a great performance, wins that second round as well. Also gets some top control for himself, throwing some ground and pound. The only thing that Kemron really did extremely well offensively, he did land the one takedown, and he went for that leg lock, but it wasn't locked in. It was towards the very end of that first round. In the second round, more of the same, but Brian Battle actually had some decent control against the clinch. And even when Kemron had his offensive moments, wasn't enough for Battle. Simply outsized, and Brian Battle is a hot prospect and somebody to keep an eye on in this tournament and outside of this tournament because his career is going to extend farther. I think he's going to be inside of the UFC, 5-1 fighter. Definitely put on a great show. Back and forth battle. Kemron, even in defeat, I think earns a lot of respect, and I won't be surprised to see him get a fight in the finale. Overall, moving forward, the next fight, which is going to be Daniel Argueta and Ricky Turquios. I'm super pumped for that fight. We'll definitely do a prediction video for that one in the next coming days. We'll do it before the episode does release. We do previews before the episodes. We talk about recent events and our thoughts, and then we talk about the upcoming fight. We'll probably be doing it either early next week, I would probably assume. I'll maybe try to do it a day or two before the actual episode releases. So make sure you tune into that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Honestly, some real excitement on this Ultimate Fighter Season 29. I think it's going to be some fun episodes coming up. As far as standings right now, Petrosky, Tresean Gore, and Brian Battle, I think there may be a bit of a spoiler that was leaked with some of the highlights. Tresean Gore, I do believe he's going to be fighting Brian Battle in the next round. I think there was a long hair head kick that landed by Tresean Gore. So stay tuned for that. I don't know who wins the fight, but maybe a bit of a sign. Sometimes I think they release a little bit too much in those highlights, and I wish they didn't. Petrosky, I think he's a dangerous fighter, but I will say, I think Tresean Gore, Brian Battle could give him a tough test. Miles Hunzinger and Gilbert Urbina is going to be on that episode 7, which is a couple weeks away. But Argueta and Turquios up next week. I can't wait to break that fight down and talk about it. Overall, the season's looking very good. On the opposite side, the bantamweight bracket, Ludovic Charles-Leon and Vince Murdoch have moved on. Charles-Leon's wrestling is going to be a problem. Mitch Raposo, even though he lost, I do think he's still an exciting prospect at just 22 years of age. There's so much to like for him. But honestly, great season. A lot of exciting action coming. I guess early lean, I'll have one for the middleweights. I could see Tresean Gore and Andre Petrowski in the finals. I also could see Brian Battle making it as well. Honestly, all of them are good stylistic matchups. I feel like Brian Battle, early lean, I would pick Battle over Petrowski if he can defend that takedown. I do think his striking game is pretty dynamic. And Tresean Gore, dynamite striker, he just didn't let it go in that fight against Ryder. And we still have Miles Hunzinger and Gilbert Urbina. So this Ultimate Fighter season has so much action coming up. We had a great fight on this episode. If you're not watching Tough, you definitely should. And you should definitely also tune in to the live watch-alongs here and watch my live reaction. And I'll be recapping every event. I'll be doing predictions, and I'll be doing live watch-alongs for every episode remaining. Make sure you guys smash that like button. For this Ultimate Fighter recap episode, I need at least 40 likes on this video. New series, consistent series we're going to be going at for the rest of the season. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you all so much. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe too. We don't just talk about the Ultimate Fighter. We talk about all things MMA, UFC, Bellator, PFL, LFA sometimes. We do all kinds of prediction videos for the full cards and the best bets as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.